One thing I've noticed is that the whole debate on why God allows pain and suffering has shifted. For a while, Christians have stepped up with the free will defense, saying that pain and suffering exist because God gave people free will, and sometimes people make bad choices that lead to pain and suffering. Free will is a good thing. It makes love possible and it's worth the cost. I don't need to repeat this well-established argument here. But now, skeptics and atheists have rightly pointed out that not all forms of pain and suffering appear to come as a result of human choice. This is what we call natural evil. Things like floods, earthquakes, cancer, and now a huge emphasis is put on animal suffering. Skeptics will point out that God made animals to be in a predator-prey relationship, creating a tremendous amount of suffering, especially for the prey, as they are hunted and often tortured by predators in horrifying ways. How could a perfectly good and powerful God make a world like this? They conclude the easiest solution is that there is no such God. As Christians, animal suffering and natural evil is a problem with no easy answers. But my problem with animal suffering and natural evil is more so that I don't think Christians, even some really quality Christian thinkers, are responding well. Honestly, I think we've been repeating a number of weak responses to the challenge of natural evil. So stick with me, because we have good answers to animal suffering and cruelty. We have good answers to all kinds of natural evil. But first, we need to understand why some answers are not so good. First off, I recognize that many of my viewers are probably feeling the pain that comes from natural evil, and we want that pain to just go away. And this video is more heady and probably won't help you with that. But if you're just trying to think through the issue here, then, well, here we go. A common response is to put on the hat of a geologist and say that natural disasters have a life-sustaining role. You may have heard it said that earthquakes come from, plate tectonic movements, and plate tectonic movements help recycle nutrients back to the ocean's surface. Volcanoes release pressure from the earth and provide quality soil for things to grow. Now, remember that the concern of the skeptic is that it really seems like a perfectly good and powerful God could have done things differently to create a better world for us. Couldn't God have created a world that didn't need earthquakes and volcanoes to accomplish good purposes? Besides that, it doesn't address animal suffering. The geologist response may give a glimpse of why God allows some forms of natural evil, but the amount of progress made by the Christian thinker seems so small that, well, honestly, I wouldn't go there. But if you're writing a whole book on natural evil, then sure, bring it up. I just would humbly suggest don't lean too much on it. Another common response to the problem of natural evil is to point out that our dislike of pain and suffering only makes sense if we believe in God. If there's no God and everything is purely natural and physical, then pain and suffering are purely natural and physical. They are events in our brains resulting from events outside of us, but these events cannot be said to be good or bad because goodness and badness don't really exist. Only physical things exist, and one set of chemicals in our brain is not any better than any different set of chemicals in our brain. This response is very common among excellent Christian thinkers, so it might surprise you to know that I'm not too fond of this argument as a response to natural evil. Let me explain. There is an argument for the existence of God called the moral argument, and it's very similar to this response. I think the moral argument, properly understood, is great. We know that goodness and badness exist, and the best explanation for their existence is found in the nature of God, who must therefore exist. But to use it as a response to natural evil, the Christian comes off kind of dismissive and missing the point. Think of it this way. The atheist says, there's too much pain and suffering in this world, therefore God doesn't exist. The Christian responds saying, you're an atheist. You don't even have a way to show that pain and suffering are bad. Now, if I was an atheist here, I would respond back to the Christian like this. Even if that's true, you are a Christian and you do have a way to know that pain and suffering are bad. So you believe we live in a world with pain and suffering, don't you? You believe it's bad, don't you? Yet you also believe in a good and powerful God. these beliefs don't mix. Your worldview contradicts itself, it's inconsistent, and therefore doesn't work. Now, the Christian could say, okay, look, natural evil makes it hard to believe in God, but to disbelieve in God would mean that good and bad don't really exist. That's even harder to believe. This response seems better to me, but notice that it's not a response to the problem of natural evil. It's just creating a different argument for the existence of God and hoping that it does a better job showing that God exists than natural evil showing God doesn't exist. If that's the case you want to build as a Christian thinker, go for it. But I would argue that Christians can give a fitting response to the problem of natural evil and animal cruelty. I'll save that response for next month. So again, stick with me here. I think you're going to find this helpful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.